With the fighting still fierce in Syria, there's a new front opening up on the Assad regime, and it's coming from Geneva, Switzerland. The goal of the high-level gathering of foreign ministers that kicked off on Wednesday is to end the Syrian civil war and to get Mr. Assad to relinquish power. And few were as blunt in that mission as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry.
That means that Bashar al-Assad will not be part of that transition government.
When their turn came, the Syrians answered back, with Foreign Minister Walid al-Moallem saying that the U.S. and others were supporting terrorist-linked rebel groups. When his remarks exceeded the 10-minute speaking limit, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon interrupted. What follows is a decidedly undiplomatic verbal scuffle between Ban and Moallem.
Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, can you just wrap up, because you have spoken only 20 minutes. Yeah.
So yourself, you live in New York, I live in Syria. I have the right to give the Syrian version here in this forum.
This, we have to have some constructive and harmonious dialogue. Please refrain from any inflammatory.
Let me finish my speech.
Within 2 or 3 minutes, please.
Okay.
2 or 3 minutes, and I will give you another opportunity. Okay?
Another 20 minutes, no?
This is footage from the scene of a bombing attack on Wednesday near Peshawar, Pakistan, that killed 6 police officers and a small boy. The officers were on their way to provide security to a polio vaccination team when a bicycle-mounted bomb exploded next to their truck. As WSJ's Saeed Shah reports, Islamic militants in Pakistan believe that vaccination efforts in the country are a cover for spying activities and have been targeting vaccination workers since 2010. The bike bomb was another in a string of attacks recently, as the government faces intense pressure to take tough military action against the Pakistani Taliban. On Tuesday, in Baluchistan province, a bus full of Shiite pilgrims was bombed, killing 24. The Pakistani government has repeatedly offered peace talks to the Taliban, but the group has responded with a wave of violence. Critics say that Islamabad has to choose whether to negotiate or fight against the militants, but it can't do both.
This is Sam Dagger for the Wall Street Journal. On January 19, I visited the outskirts of the Yarmouk camp, a neighborhood on the south side of Damascus dominated by Palestinian refugees living in Syria for decades. There are about 40,000 people stuck inside Yarmouk, which is now a battle zone and rebel hotbed, surrounded and sealed off by regime forces for about a year because of its strategic location at the doorsteps of the capital. Aid groups have been trying to deliver food and medical supplies into the neighborhood, but human rights groups and aid officials say the Syrian government is actively denying them entry. Many desperate family members gather here on the outskirts, hoping that Assad forces will allow children, the sick, and the elderly to leave the dire conditions inside Yarmouk. This woman named Huda Kabalawi is in her 80s and said she survived on scraps neighbors brought her.
والله كل يوم كنت أموت أنا لو ما الجيران يدقوا علي ويحنوا علي أهل فلسطين.
Miss Kabalawi was one of the few lucky ones to get out. On this day, only 27 people were allowed to leave Yarmouk.
This is the Foreign Bureau, WSJ's Global News Update.